Hi there, Tracy here for Trinity Stamps. In today's video, I am going to show you how to make this fun 5x7 birthday shaker card with a little bit of an Asian influence. Kind of looks like a little Japanese garden. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. Here are the supplies I'm using, and I will have everything listed in the description box down below. I've got my card base, I've got my papers, my acetate, a bunch of black paper because I'm going to be stacking the die. And we're going to start with the background. And this is a piece of watercolor paper. It's the new Simon Hurley watercolor paper, so it's nice and smooth, and it doesn't warp really bad. I really like that about it. So I'm going to do a little bit of ink smooshing with some greens, and I'm going to be using Overzealous, Fake Plant, and Later Gator, so I can get kind of a tritone, and then I'll later be using some Clear Skies, so that I can kind of get a resemblance of a sky. So this is totally the background, and a lot of it's going to be covered, but I still want it to feel like, I don't know, trees, like in a garden, in a Japanese garden, but without, being into detail with a bunch of, let me see, what would you see? You would see a little Japanese maple and all kinds of really beautiful trees, but ours is just kind of fake. But doesn't matter, because that's just a feeling we're looking for and not exactly the exact thing. So I dry off between each layer and then do a little bit more tamping down to grab some of those little dots. Then I'll come in with the fake plant, and I want some little smaller, more concentrated areas, so I'm just grabbing my little circle acrylic block so that I have just small areas that I've added. And then I'll just dab up any kind of dampness. And then I'm going to come in with the Clear Skies in Simon Hurley, and I'm just going to do the top half with some blues in it, so it's like you can see blue sky through the trees. That's my idea anyway. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of water on my fan brush and just create some depth and dimension there, and then just tap it up. And then I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit more of the dark green, which is the fake plant, with a little bit of water, and just splatter it on there the same. And then I want to add a little more depth just around the sides. So I'm just coming in with my Blending Buddy and my fake plant and filling that in. And that's done. We'll set that aside to finish drying. And next, this is a piece of smooth cardstock. And I'm just going to ink blend and ombre with those same colors. And I'm not too worried if it gets choppy like that. This isn't probably the best paper for ink blending. It is just at some Accent Opaque 120 pound. And it tends to be really grabby. So, it's best to start off, but I want some real heavy areas. So I want this again to have kind of a variegated look. So then I'll finish off here with the fake plant. This was a fun idea to think up, because I rarely use those tree frames, and they're really cool. They came out, we're on last Halloween for last Halloween's release, and but gosh, they could be used anytime. So I have that cut out, and I've cut out about 6 or 7 of these. And what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to glue them all together, because it takes a little while. I have to be honest with you. You want to get in all those little spaces. So I want to put my acetate down to my top layer here. And so I'm just doing liquid glue, because I have some really, really skinny spots in there. And just making sure that I get it, all around in the little areas. And pardon me while my glue clogs a couple of times. I bet nobody here has had that problem. What happens sometimes is if you leave your glue open, and then, just for, a few seconds while you're in a session, a little piece will dry down towards the bottom of the little nozzle inside, the little metal nozzle. And that's what gets it to clog, so you have to get that cleared out. So I've got this laid down, and I did overdo it there a little and tried to wipe it off. And friends, you want to be careful if your paper's still wet, because I did rub off some of the paper. I'll fix it later, but not a big, huge deal. And you can wipe off any excess glue later. So I left that to dry, and I got these all glued together. And what I want to do here, and it's important to do that, is to try and just get off any excess glue that's sticking out. And the main reason for that is I don't want my shaker bits to stick to it, because this is what I'm doing in lieu of foam tape. Now, another thing that you could do is you could take the die and you could cut out fun foam. But I recommend, if you're cutting out fun foam, that you glue a piece of paper to one side of it if it's not, if it's not a sticky kind. And if it is a sticky kind, then, put paper on the sticky part before you cut it out, and that'll keep it from stretching, because sometimes when you're cutting out fun foam, it'll stretch, and so you won't get an exact size. So I've got the glue off, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to my background, which I made a little bit larger than 5x7, so that I would have some wiggle room, because, Lord knows, sometimes when you're doing watercolors, you get a lot of buildup on the edges. If the paper starts to curl and then all your wet starts dripping down. So on this, I'm making sure that I'm getting in all those little places so my shaker bits can't get through. And the top, I'm not super worried about. I can probably put a couple of shaker bits in some of those smaller holes. But it's mainly the pieces that are sticking out that I don't want shaker bits to be able to get under. So I throw my Misty on top of there and let it dry completely, and now I'll fill it up with shaker bits. So I'm going to be using the Lavender Field Flutterby, the New Leaf, the Emerald Sparkle Spots, Iridescent Orchid Shaker Pops, and Kiwi Shaker Pops, and Rock Candy Confetti. So that it looks like purple, and the whole reason that I chose the little flutterbys in the purple is because I'll be coloring the Kokeshi doll's outfit in an ombre purple. So just to kind of coordinate everything. Let's see. Okay, we'll throw these iridescent guys in here, or these I think it's rock candy confetti. So some of these, they came in a bag, and I put them in containers that I had purchased, off-brand. And some of them I put the names in, and some of them I did not. That's kind of me. I take my stencils out too and lose the wrapper. I lose things, friends. I know you can relate. So I'm just getting some liquid glue down here, and I'm just using my PVA glue, by the way. And then I'll go ahead and glue this down. And then we've got our shaker part, and I'm just going to let that dry there. And now we're going to cut out our little Kokeshi doll. And I'm going to use this one here. I love those little Star Wars buns. And I want to make sure that I get all the parts that I need. So I've taken out all the parts that I need, and I've got a piece of really dark black piece of paper that I'm going to do some parts with. And what I wanted to show you here, because I will cut these off camera, is I'm just using some rip and stick tape and just a really small piece of my black paper. And listen, I hoard this paper. It's not cheap. It's the Tim Holtz black heavy stock, but it's the blackest paper on the market that I've seen so far, and I bought lots just trying to compare. There's another one by Cereal, but it's still not as black. It's got shine to it. This stuff is matte. So what I'll do is I'll cut the little pieces out on top of that, and then they'll have something to stick to. And I won't have to mess with glue. Well, in a perfect world. So I'm coloring the body in cookie dough, and I'm not making any big effort to make it perfect. I'm more concerned with her kimono. So I'm setting the pieces up the way I want my ombre to go. And I'm going to use these small Amazon brushes. I can't wait for Trinity to come out with theirs. And I'm going to start here with some Distress Oxide and Villainous Potion. So I'm using Distress Oxides on these because I want them to blend nicely. And it's still that paper that doesn't blend the best. But it does okay. It does okay. You just have to work a little harder for it. Then I'm coming in with the Wilted Violet. And I'm just trying to make sure that my end points are fairly even. So that it's, especially on the top half, so that it's a cohesive sort of ombre. And then I'm coming in with the shaded lilac. And then I'll do that twice just to get everything blended in, and maybe even 3 times. You never know. Whoops, I lost an arm. Okay, let's get that in there. So that'll give our little waistband some dimension. I'll just do a little bit of ombre to white, a little shaded lilac to white on the fan. And then I'm just coming back in with the colors and blending everything out so it's all nice and smooth and even and pretty. Coming back in with the shaded lilac. And the other thing, these brushes here, you have to dip them constantly. They just don't hold ink very well. Hey, friends, you get what you pay for, but that's okay. It's better than the alternative. So now I'm just going to glue everything together. I'm going to glue the little neck piece on, just in case you haven't put together or seen these Kokeshi dolls, so you can see how they go together. And then I'll glue the left half of the kimono on. The right half overlaps it. So then we'll do the right half. And then the little sleeve pieces are separate so that it actually looks like sleeves, but they're still ombre. We'll get the little sleeves on, then we'll get the little belt on. Super, super easy to put together. And you could use pattern paper, you could use, color it any way you want to. I'm going to glue her hair down. And all that's left are the little tiny black pieces and the background pieces. So I'm going to do the black pieces, and there's little, inside the die cut, it's embossed so you can see where to put these pieces. Very handy. And this one, my sticky didn't come off, so I'm going to have to use a little glue. That's okay, not a huge deal. I'll just grab some glue. This one, I'll try and be more careful taking it out. Okay, she's all put together. Now I'm going to color my fan. I'm going to do my flowers. And I'm going to do that little V in kind of the violet. And I'm just using what's on my brush and what's on my paper there. And this one, I'm just going to use what's on my little brush for some green. That's the little center of the flower. And then I'm going to do an ombre here on this umbrella as well. And listen, I know it looks funky at first. You just have to trust the process, because I do, a couple of layers so to get everything blended out. So now I'm going around the outer part. Then I'll come back in with the wilted violet in the center tone, and then I'll come back in with the shaded lilac, and then I've got a nice little ombre for my umbrella. And I cut this piece out again out of that black paper. So now I can kind of assemble this. Let's get her holding the fan and holding the little umbrella. And then we'll get the little chopsticks on. Get any excess glue off. That paper does show if you get glue on it, whether the glue is matte or shiny, it shows. Okay, so we've got her all together. We're going to go ahead and place our shaker part on down to the 5x7 card base that I created. And you'll see it all comes together with the purple, and it looks like a little garden back behind her with little butterflies. So just kind of get her glued down here. And off camera, I'll do my sentiment. Sometimes I have a hard time deciding what kind of sentiment, but I'm going to make this into a birthday card. And I'm just using my black gel glaze pen to fill in where her mouth goes. There might have been a die for that, but if there was, I've lost it. So I'll just fill it in with my little glaze pen, and then little glaze pen on the end of the chopsticks. And so what I've done is on this plain piece of paper, I've taken the fake plant and I've swiped it directly down onto the paper, so the green is super, super dark. And then I just want to make sure that it's completely dry. And then I'm going to stamp down onto that piece of paper and white heat emboss it, and then cut it all out. And here we go. So we've got it a little bit darker, and here's our card. And I've got the little lavender field butterflies. I added some to the outside just to kind of bring the outside in. And I hope you like this card. I will have everything I use listed in the description box down below. And before you go, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell so that you'll get notified every time we upload a new video. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. And I will have, again, everything listed down below. And here's a couple of still photos to end the video. Thank you so much for coming. Trinity Stamps thanks you. Have a marvelous day. Happy 4th of July. Take care. Bye-bye.